There's no relationship like that of siblings, best friends at one moment, worst of enemies the next, and with a whole spectrum of feelings in between. One's siblings can be anything to anybody, and sometimes a lot of things at the same time. But what does it really mean to be bonded by blood or family? Here we're taking a look at brothers and sisters gone bad, rivalries which have soured to the extent that blood has spilled and there's no saying sorry. I'm Jess from What Culture, and here are the 10 best sibling rivalries in horror movie history. Number 10. Casey and Bartow, The Unborn. Released in 2009, David S. Goyer's The Unborn was patently just an excuse to stare at star Odette Annabelle's ass. So shameless was the film about its use of the male gaze, they even slapped the actor's butt on the poster. The story that they did manage to squeeze in between gratuitous buttock shots, the simple tale of a girl possessed by her own dead brother and the men who attempted to help her. Unborn Bartow is the spirit of Casey's twin who died in the womb and is none too happy about it. A plan is hatched to exorcise the brat, who turns out to be more stubborn than anyone might have imagined. The Unborn is fairly unmemorable, drag me to hell light, but it's entirely worth a go-round for the antagonistic relationship between Casey and Bartow. Eventually Bartow is vanquished, but not without a fight. The movie culminates in a surprisingly great exorcism sequence, enlisting Gary Oldman and Idris Elba to help rid Casey of her dark passenger. Number 9. Ruby, The Hills Have Eyes. When the all-American Carter family decides to take a shortcut on the road to California, they find themselves at the mercy of a family of mutant hillbillies. Little Ruby is the only one of the demented Jupiter clan who's not a complete monster. Ruby proves to be the Carters' salvation, saving their newborn baby from the supper pot and the life of long-suffering hero Doug too, if you go with Alexander Ayer's remake. Throwing herself at cannibalistic relative Lizard, she plunges them both off of the side of a cliff to their deaths. This sacrifice ensures the survival of Doug and the remaining Carter family, and is the ultimate rebuttal of her family and their horrifying lifestyle. This is a better death than her fate in 1985's The Hills Have Eyes Part 2, Craven's sequel to the original movie. Here, after surviving the events of Wes Craven's cult classic, Ruby is now married to Bobby Carter. Together, they head out to the desert to face their demons and her now estranged family. No noble death for this version of little Ruby, tripping up, banging her head on a rock, and dying from the trauma. Whichever version you go with, however, Ruby's refutation of her twisted family remains the same. Number 8. Baby and Otis Firefly, The Devil's Rejects. Unlike most of the siblings on this list, Baby and Otis Firefly are not actively trying to kill each other most of the time, which is not to say that their relationship is in any way a stable one. The serial killers have had 3 cinematic showings so far and have been at each other's throats almost the entire time, fighting over everything from ice cream to their victims. Their only common ground? Murder, and lots of it. After the events of House of a Thousand Corpses, Baby and Otis find themselves on the run. Neither their most wanted status nor the dogged lawman on their tails is going to put them off doing what they do best though: bickering and butchering their way across the states. Of the 3 movies, Devil's Rejects is the best showcase for Mosley and Zombie's uniquely icky chemistry. Most specifically in the movie's most iconic sequence, in which the pair argue over ice cream. Not just any ice cream, mind, say it with us, Tutti fruity. Number 7. Beverly and Elliot Mantle, Dead Ringers. Some may seek to deny David Cronenberg's psychological thriller its place on this list due to a lack of gore and jump scares, but that hasn't stopped its leading men from going down in history as bona fide horror icons. Gynecologist twins Beverly and Elliot generally have a cordial relationship, but it's not without its tension. Naturally, it all boils down to the pair of them fighting over a woman. When the shy, meek Beverly falls for a patient, he begins to rail against his more confident, commanding brother. While this slow, icy thriller never was gonna descend into an out-and-out gore fest, Beverly's descent into madness ranks as one of the genre's best on-screen unravelings to date, whatever genre one decides to place it in. Number 6. Johnny and Barbara, Night of the Living Dead. Bickering siblings Johnny and Barbara barely get any screen time to themselves in George A. Romero's zombie classic, Night of the Living Dead. What they do do get, however, is one of the most iconic movie sequences of all time. Driving together to a cemetery in Pittsburgh, Johnny spends almost all of his screen time teasing Sister Barbara. This, of course, begets the film's most famous line, "They're coming to get you, Barbara," and Johnny's shocking demise at the hands or teeth of a zombie. While Barbara escapes and holes up with other survivors in a nearby farmhouse, she never quite recovers from the shock of her brother's death. The pair are ultimately reunited as Johnny joins the horde in its final onslaught, and a crazed Barbara runs out to join him in death. Number 5. The Davidson Brothers. You're next. Family reunions can be awful. Other people's even worse. Erin learns this to her detriment in Adam Wingard's darkly comedic home invasion slasher film You're Next, as she's attacked by animal-masked monsters at her boyfriend's family get-together. The killers? Boyfriend Felix's own family, and spoilers, Felix himself, slaughtering parents and siblings alike to get their tasty inheritance. Stuck in the wrong place at the wrong time, Erin is caught in the middle of an all-out war. And aside from Erin's brutal battle against this gang of sadistic killers, it's the deliciously sour family dynamics which make You're Next so memorable, particularly in regards to the brothers, Crispian, Felix, and Drake. Even before they get to stabbing one another, they're a vicious bunch, trading barbs over the dinner table, and then later screwdrivers as Felix stabs his big brother to death in the basement. Final girl Erin is having none of this, scrambling Felix's head open with a blender, then stabbing Crispin to death in the film's denouement. Number 4. Ash and Cheryl. The Evil Dead. Sam Raimi's The Evil Dead was a hardcore video nasty about a man, Bruce Campbell's Ashley Ash Williams, repeatedly hacking bits off of himself, his zombified girlfriend, and his sister. Which is not to say that The Evil Dead wasn't quite funny in its own way. The most iconic of all the Evil Deadites is Ash's own sister Cheryl. Raped by trees and subsequently possessed by a Deadite demon, Cheryl is the gore-mouthed, white-eyed, gnashing monster that fans will forever associate with the franchise. All of the Deadites across Raimi's trilogy look stupendous, but Cheryl is truly uniquely iconic. Cheryl would return to torment Ash over 20 years later in Season 2 of Ash vs. Evil Dead, forcing poor Ash to kill and dismember his sister all over again. Number 3. Mia and David. The Evil Dead 2013. Fede Alvarez's 2013 reboot did away with the mighty Bruce Campbell, but shades of Ash and Cheryl remain in its leading brother-sister duo. For the first half of the film, David is its hero, whisking drug addict sister Mia away to a cabin in the woods for a spot of cold turkey. After an ancient evil dead is unleashed upon the pair and their friends, Mia is possessed by one of the Deadite horde. The pair's relationship is a chilly one, and that's before Mia starts spouting filth, murdering the dog, and mutilating herself and others. And as possessed Mia, Levy puts in a delightfully unhinged performance, knocking lumps out of her poor friends and hapless brother. Nothing can ever live up to the frantic Three Stooges intensity of Sam Raimi's Evil Dead films, but Alvarez certainly came close, as did his Mia and David as the updated Ash and Cheryl. Number 2. Mercy and Jonas vs. Thomason, the Witch. As if being stuck out on a remote farm with your unforgiving Puritan family wasn't hard enough, poor Thomason, played by Anya Taylor-Joy, also has to contend with her awful twin siblings, Mercy and Jonas. With her mother blaming her for the loss of infant Samuel, kidnapped by the local witch, the witch, and her father a bumbling hypocrite, no one really cares that the twins are so relentlessly horrible to Thomason. And when they accuse their big sister of witchcraft, the rest of the family are inclined to believe them. In a film full of unsettling performances and character work, Mercy and Jonas are among the witch's creepiest touches. No Satan required, they're a spiteful, snotty pair, and their treatment of poor Thomason only makes her turn to the devil more plausible. With the twins being so relentlessly nasty to her, it's no wonder that Thomason eventually succumbs to the satanic call of Black Phillip. Number 1. Laurie and Michael. Halloween. When it comes to toxic brother-sister relationships, there's none so iconic dynamic as that of Michael Myers and Laurie Strode. After surviving the night in John Carpenter's Halloween, traumatized babysitter Laurie and Michael Myers would return in Carpenter's 1981 sequel. Here, Laurie would learn that Michael Myers was none other than her own long-lost brother. While this revelation would do away with some of Michael's mystique, their dynamic was always a joy to watch. This in turn netted us the underrated Halloween H2O, with a middle-aged Laurie facing off against her brother one last time. Yes, one last time. We don't talk about the 2002 one, the dreadful Halloween Resurrection. Not a fan of the twist? Not to worry, it was retconned out of existence in David Gordon Green's 2018 reboot/sequel. He was not her brother, Laurie's granddaughter announces bluntly. That's something that people made up.